Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another live stream, and welcome to all your latest Chelsea transfer news and the home of the world champions. Day 18 of being world champions. It will never get boring saying that. Big up to everyone that's already locked in. Make sure you're smashing up the like. Subscribe if you're new around here. All of that good stuff. And as always, get involved in the chat. We have got another packed show for you. As always, guys, all the latest on the deals regarding Jorrel Hato and Xavi Simons. Ajax reportedly playing hardball over a fee for Jorrel Hato. Xavi Simons, Chelsea still locked in negotiations, confident of getting the deal done. We've got the latest on the pursuit of Alejandro Garnacho as well, with Chelsea reportedly not prepared to pay more than £30 million for the winger. The Blues have sold Ish Samuel Smith to Strasbourg for £6.5 million. Plus all the latest on Marc Cucurella's new contract as well, with a new proposal set to be submitted to the left back very, very soon. But before we dive into all of that, guys, as always, a quick reminder, make sure you check out Jersey's FC Soccer Shop. Link is in the description, guys. Use code BLUEBROTHER for 20% off. You know, great quality, affordable prices, names, numbers, patches, whatever you want on the back. Make sure you're looking fresh throughout the summer and next season. Use code BLUEBROTHER, 20% off. Jersey's FC Soccer Shop. Link is in the description. Make sure you check it out, people. Right, that's enough about that. Let's say hello to some of you lot, and then we'll get this show on the road. Well deserved for Cucurella. Might be getting a new contract. Absolutely well deserved. We'll get Simons and Hato. Eventually, transfer stuff isn't simple. Yeah, always takes longer than you think. Yes, big up, brother. Big up. Hope you're well. Yes, big up, bro. Yes, big up, brother. Hope all the Chelsea fans are well in Singapore. Let's not lie. This is taking time. There's no. Look, I don't think there's anything to worry about per se. I really don't. I really don't. You know, transfers always take longer than you think, you know, in terms of the amount of money up front, the payment structure, the terms of the payment. You know, these things always take longer to iron out than you think. I don't think there's any danger of these deals falling apart. But I understand the longer it goes off, then, you know, the more concerned people tend to get. But I don't really share those same concerns. Yeah, maybe some good news today. We're going to dive into this, bro. Yes, big up, brother. Hope you're well. Do you think we need another centre-back? No, I don't think so, unless some of the starting centre-backs in the squad leave. But no, I don't think we do need another centre-back, in my opinion. No, it should work, bro. It should work. Try it all in capitals if it doesn't work. But yeah, use the link in the description, though. Go through the link in the description. When do I expect it to happen? If I was having a guess, I would like to say this week, but I said that last week and we're already at Wednesday and there's not been too much movement. So at some point this week, let's put it this way. It'll be done before we return to training on August 4th. But anyway, let's dive into the latest with Jorrel Hato, because we've had reports from Holland saying that Ajax management are weighing up an offer from Chelsea for Jorrel Hato for between 37 and 39 million pounds. They initially wanted between 47 and 52. Given the club's bleak financial situation, Ajax can't risk Chelsea calling off the deal. So this is basically the dilemma that Ajax are faced with in regard to Jorrel Hato. We're not prepared to offer as much as they want. However, Ajax are in a situation where, yes, they would like more, but due to their financial situation and due to the fact they cannot guarantee that any other clubs are going to come to the table later in the window and offer what they want, they're probably going to be in a situation where they are going to have to accept what we offer. Otherwise, they risk the deal potentially falling through. Now, I don't see Chelsea walking away from a deal. However, if Ajax keep playing hardball and refuse to accept our demands, then maybe we would potentially walk away and look to go for a different target. I mean, if this carries on for the next 24 to 48 hours, don't be surprised if you potentially hear Chelsea's name linked with another left-back / centre-back hybrid style player in an attempt to try and put some pressure on Ajax to accept the bid. It is going to be interesting. I also feel, part of me also thinks, I wonder whether the Simmons deal is kind of done. And in a weird sort of way, Chelsea, for whatever reason, they want to do like a double announcement. They want to do like a double announcement, potentially, because it's double Dutch and whatever. It'll be a good little marketing ploy or whatnot. Maybe they want to announce these deals together. I don't know for certain. Yes, big up, bro. Hope you're doing well. Ajax certainly are playing hardball. Yeah, I mean, not ideal, not ideal. We will get both. I think so as well. Yes, big up, brother. Yeah, people keep smashing the like button. Almost 150 in the building already. Let's get this up to 100 likes as quickly as possible. And keep subscribing to the channel if you are new round here as well. That would be greatly appreciated. So, yeah, Ajax are a bit of a dilemma. I don't know why they wouldn't accept the bid. It just makes no sense. It just makes no sense whatsoever why they wouldn't accept this. You know, no other clubs are seemingly coming in for him. You know, no clubs are seemingly coming in for him, you know. You know, that's the reality here. So it's not like, oh my God, you know, there's other teams coming in, you know, like Liverpool's, like Arsenal's or whatever. No one else has been mentioned with Jorrel Hato. We are the only team, at least publicly, we are the only team involved in negotiations with Hato. He's already agreed personal terms. He's already said yes to the project. So at this stage, it's about agreeing a fee. We've set out what we're prepared to pay, and now it's up to Ajax whether we're going to accept it. Because if we were prepared to go higher, we would have gone higher and got this deal wrapped up. We would have gone higher and got this deal wrapped. However, we're clearly not prepared to go higher, and right now Ajax aren't prepared to lower their price, which is why we find ourselves in a little bit of a standoff for this deal at the moment. I'm confident on both deals, but I'm far more confident on the Jorrel Hato deal than I am on the Xavi Simmons deal. I'm still confident on Simmons, but I'm more confident on Jorrel Hato. Yes, big up, brother. They did explore the potential possibility of signing Ish Samuel-Smith, but he's actually subsequently joined Strasbourg for 6.4 million. Hato, here we go tonight. Chelsea, I think, have offered 41 million euros, and they are prepared to go sort of between 37 and 39 million. That will be the top amount that we're prepared to pay. I'm confident we will, yeah. And to be fair, I don't see that being bad value. Anything in and around the 40 million pound mark for Jorrel Hato, chat. I don't see that being a bad deal at all. In fact, I think that's pretty fucking good for a player of his quality, for a player of his potential, for a player who has got so much room for improvement, and it's going to fill, you know, a major role in our squad, you know, for many years to come, hopefully. We've then also had, so that's what it is right now. Ajax are debating whether to accept this offer or continue to hold out for what they want. We've then had an update from Ben Jacobs on the situation. And so we've had Romano on Instagram saying that Chelsea have almost agreed a transfer fee worth over 40 million euros for Jorrel Hato. And then Ben Jacobs adding in the last hour or so, he has added that Chelsea are hoping to finalise Jorrel Hato this week. Deal advanced and potentially agreed in the next 24 to 48 hours. I know as fans, we'll never know how much goes into a transfer, how much is going on behind the scenes, but it just feels like, guys, what is taking so long at this point? What is taking us so long at this point in time? You know, it's a real strange one. It's a real strange one. Yeah, Jorrel Hato's 19. Yeah, for sure. Look, you know, we got a very good deal with Palmer, as it turned out in the end. bro, Gusto cost 26 mil. We're not going to get Jorrel Hato for 26 million pounds. That's not happening. Well, one report is suggesting that we don't want to pay more than 30 million for Garnacho. You know, we'll get into him later on. Chelsea must be looking at Vega as a reference for fee. Potentially, yeah. Of course, Ajax are trying to milk us. Ajax are trying to get as much as they possibly can for one of their top players and one of their stars. You know, there's absolutely no denying that whatsoever. They are trying to. They're trying to get that. Is the Simmons deal they're waiting on that? Yeah, potentially. I would say that the Simmons deal is the one we're waiting on more so than the one that we are, more advanced on. You know, we're definitely waiting on the Simmons deal. I don't think we're going to go higher, but again, you know, Ajax could be waiting until they've got a replacement lined up, and then they will look to go for someone. That's the situation I sort of think that we're in on that one. They're looking for a replacement to get lined up, and then they might sanction a deal. Again, possibility. Yeah, all football fans are impatient. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. You know, look, Hato will leave Ajax. It just depends how long it's going to take for them to accept the demands. Ajax know Hato is gone. They know that he's gone. So, yeah, they can play hardball over the fee for as long as they want to. But they know that Chelsea aren't going to suddenly raise their bid. And they know full well as well that that Hato wants out, and it's going to be not in the interest of anyone for Jorrel Hato to remain at Ajax. That just simply isn't going to happen. It's as simple as that. I don't think this is anything. I don't think this is necessarily a reflection on. I had to put RTA in a timeout. Very good. Well done, brother. Chelsea FC. Look, I don't know if this is on the sporting directors or not. Chelsea have got a valuation in mind. They've got a price that they are prepared to pay for the player, and that is and they're sticking to their guns. Now, you could easily say, "Oh, why don't they just pay what Ajax are asking for and let's crack on and let's move?" Because unfortunately, that then sets a precedent where when you go to negotiations again, that Chelsea are just prepared to pay whatever a team asks for their players. You know, that's not a great negotiating tactic to go in with. So this deal will happen. We can absolutely blame the directors or the club or whatever it is if this deal falls through. Absolutely. But right now, we've just got to sit tight. People are moaning about a lack of updates, and then people moan when the updates aren't saying anything new. So, you know, you can't have it both ways, chat. You cannot have it both ways. And yeah, Jorrel Hato, hopefully Thursday or Friday, the deal will happen. And ultimately, as far as I'm concerned as a fan, as a club, pay whatever you think it's worth, pay whatever it takes to get the deal done, or pay what you think you can get the deal done for, and then move forwards. You know, I said it many times before. I've said it many times before. As fans, yes, okay, it's fine to take an interest in the financial side of the club. I've got no issue with fans wanting to be clued up on club finances. However, as fans, club finances should not be our primary concern when it comes to signing players. If we are linked with a player and said player A improves the team and B makes the squad better, go and bring said player in. And I'll trust the powers that be that know about the numbers that it's going to be fine and we're not going to fall foul of any rules or get or get any punishments, if that makes sense. Too many fans are far too concerned with being accountants of the football club rather than worrying about the one thing that fans should be concerned about, and that is the club signing better players and making the first team better. No one is sitting in the stands or watching from home thinking about the club finances when their players are on the pitch. You know, no one's thinking, oh, if Jorrel Hato's on the pitch and we paid £50 million for him, let's say, no one's thinking, oh shit, I wonder if that 50 million we spent on Hato is going to be a problem for us financially when the next deadline for the regulations is, or whatever bollocks it is. You know, that's not how we should be thinking. Does said player make your team better? If yes, get deal done. Very simple. Very, very simple. Now, I'm not saying that we should be going out and splashing 50, 60, 70, 80 million on every single player that we're linked with. But in key positions and in areas that we know need addressing in the squad, let's just stop stressing about finances. You know, let's just stop doing it. Because as fans, that shouldn't be our concern whatsoever. Exactly that. This will definitely get done. We got rid of Ish Samuel-Smith. We've got the leverage with Ajax needing the cash. Yeah, exactly. This will get done. You know, I don't think there's anyone in the chat or anyone just in general as a Chelsea fan who's worried about this Hato deal not getting done. You know, so there we are. The latest is Ajax are playing hardball over a fee. They're deciding whether we're going to whether they're going to accept our bid or whether they're going to try and hold out for more money. We have to wait and see. Only time will tell on that front. And yeah, in the next 24 to 48 hours, this should be done. The state of play is personal terms of Hato agreed. Hato wants Chelsea. Hato's told Ajax he wants the move. Chelsea are prepared to pay 41 million euros. Ajax want more. They're weighing up whether they should hold out for more or accept the bid. That is literally it. That is where we're at with Jorrel Hato. Now, I mentioned, chat, about being slightly more concerned about the Xavi Simons deal than I am about the Jorrel Hato deal. And I'll explain why. So this is Fabrizio Romano, chat, on the Chelsea attackers situation. So we'll get into the Garnacho stuff later. First step, go for Xavi Simons. Conversations advanced with Leipzig. Then next step, consider Garnacho as an opportunity in the month of August. So we'll get to that later. So first step, go for Xavi Simons. Conversations advanced with Leipzig. Now, we know that the conversations are advanced with Leipzig. We know that Chelsea wants Simons. And we know that this deal has been in the works for the last week to 10 days, coming on probably 2 weeks at this point in time. What I would say in regards to the Simons deal, which is very different to the Jorrel Hato deal, is that there's been no reports of personal terms being fully agreed with Simons and Chelsea. There seems to be, look, we've had reports from Ben Jacobs and whatnot that there's a brief, there's like a broad agreement on terms with Simons and his camp, but there's been no, from what I've looked at or from what I've tried to gauge, I can't seem to find anywhere from reputable sources where they're saying that personal terms are fully agreed with Simons. If personal terms were fully agreed with Simons, then we would know about it pretty sharpish from the likes of Florian Plettenberg, Philipp Hintzer, you know, these guys over in Sky Germany who are on it in regards to Bundesliga transfers. We know Leipzig's demands, £60 million all in. And I'm yet to see any report saying that Chelsea want to pay that price or Chelsea are happy to pay that price. It just all seems to be at a bit of a standstill right now in regards to Xavi Simons. Now, do I think this deal will happen? Yes, I've always maintained it will. However, there are a few little concerning things starting to creep in, as I mentioned, in regards to sort of, well, there's no confirmation that there's been no reports from from reliable sources that any form of personal terms have been met, and there's been no reports that Chelsea are prepared to pay what Leipzig are asking for Simmons. I still think Simmons will happen. I still think the negotiations are advanced. However, one thing I would say, right, and it doesn't mean that this is not going to happen or anything like that, but what I would say is, chat, we have heard absolutely zero from David Ornstein in regards to this Xavi Simmons deal. We heard from Ornstein on Monday that Chelsea were advancing on a deal for Jorrel Hato. That's the first time we've heard Ornstein enter the building in regards to the Jorrel Hato deal. Ornstein hasn't entered the building once on this Xavi Simmons deal. He's not said a single thing about it. Now, whether we think that should be cause for concern or not is neither here nor there. But it is interesting how Ornstein now either reports when something's very close and when it's fully done. Those are the two times that Ornstein will report. At this point in time, though, Ornstein has said not a single word about it. Not a single word about it. But I do believe, though, that this deal will happen. All I'm saying is that there's a few things that I'm starting to just ever so slightly concern me. There's nothing to suggest a full-blown panic on the Simmons deal. There's nothing to say, oh my God, this deal's not going to happen. We're banging trouble here and whatnot. None of that. Absolutely none of that. But all I'm saying is, from my opinion, I'm just pointing out a few things where I'm just like, should there be things that we're slightly concerned about? But we will wait and see. We will wait and see on that front. But again, as I'm saying, Simmons and Hato chat, I know loads of people want to know about it. Loads of people want to know the updates. The updates are really as you were. The deals are very, very close to both players, and it's just a case of sitting tight and waiting for that final announcement. I do believe the next legit announcements that we get will be the here we go for both players, or a personal terms agreement, or a first offer has gone in. Anything along those likes, I think will be the next updates chat. Anything along those lines. But right now, it's kind of as you were. There's been nothing new over the last 2 to 3 days on this one. Bro, I absolutely don't think so. I'll be totally honest. I think there's virtually zero chance of that happening. I think there's a zero chance, chat. Well, I don't know if he's rebuffed them, but he wants Chelsea. He wants Chelsea. Bayern have reportedly tried to convince him, and that isn't happening. So, yeah, we are in a position where things look good for us and Simmons. He wants us. No agreement on personal terms yet, but that shouldn't be an issue. I don't think we're waiting for Rodgers, though. Chelsea directors has to remember their mess they conducted, missing out on Kudus from Ajax 2 seasons ago. Bro, to be honest, though, yes, it would have been good to have got Kudus a couple seasons ago. However, that summer, yes, we didn't sign Kudus, but we did get Cole Palmer. So, sort of every cloud's got a silver lining, as it were. Yes, we missed out on Kudus, but we ended up with Cole Palmer, which, let's be real, that's a much better. That's turned out to be a much better signing, hasn't it? It's turned out to be a much better signing. So I don't think we should be moaning too much about missing out from Kudus from Ajax. I think so as well. again, we know that both those players are going to leave. So it's not like we need to wait for those players to leave in order for these deals to be viable, because we know those players are on the way out, chat. We know those players are on the way out. So what I don't really get what the issue is at this point in time with this, chat. I agree. Again, it depends, because Carney's made it clear that he wants to go to Borussia Dortmund. Leipzig are also interested in him as a potential replacement for Xavi Simons, but Carney wants Dortmund. You know, the reports today saying that Chelsea might be prepared to lower their asking price for Chukwuemeka to just 25 million euros. So again, let's wait and see if that's true. But Chukwuemeka will be Dortmund, possibly Leipzig. But I think Dortmund is his preference, according to reports. Exactly that. Things would have been very, very different. Yes, big up, bro, up the Chelsea. Mate, hope you're well. Well, teams reportedly interested in Nkunku. Bayern Munich. There's reports of Leipzig being interested in him as well. And there's also interest in the likes of Man United, Newcastle, and Nottingham Forest. Those are the teams that have been credited with interest, but I don't think anything's particularly advanced at this point in time with any of those players. So with any of those clubs. Dortmund would pay 25 million euros, yes. Big up, bro. These teams know we have money and are playing hardball with these fees to a certain extent, yeah. Yep, the only player without interest is Chilwell. Do you still think we're going to get a centre-back like Gerhi or someone else? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think Jorrel Hato will end up being the guy. I think he'll end up being the guy, chap. I really do. I think he'll end up being that guy that, you know, can fill in at centre-back and will be an additional centre-back option. That's the way that I'm seeing it, personally. Yes, run the likes up, guys. Are we at 100 likes yet? Let me have a look. 96 likes. Chat, keep smashing that like button. We're well on course for 200 likes today, so smash up that like button. Get this to 100 likes first. 4 to go. Any news on Vega? Nope. Chelsea value Vega at 40 million euros, and there are multiple Champions League clubs interested in his services. So it's just a case of waiting and hanging tight on that one. So yeah, there is interest in Vega. Chelsea want 40 million euros package. Let's wait and see. Nothing at this point in time. No one credible has reported any Chelsea interest in Scalvini. So yeah, no, I don't see that really being much of a starter at all at this point in time in regards to Chelsea and possibly signing Scalvini. I'm not seeing anything there. Again, not true that Bayern weren't ever interested in Nkunku. They absolutely were interested in Nkunku. They still might be interested in Nkunku because Nkunku's not a winger. Luis Diaz has come in to play wide. Nkunku could still come in and be an option at number 10. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but that could absolutely happen for sure. Anyway, that's enough on Xavi Simons and Jorrel Hato. Let's talk about Alejandro Garnacho, because these rumours refuse to go away, chat. Let's bring up what the latest was from Miguel Delaney on this one. So, Chelsea's interest in Alejandro Garnacho is long-standing, as we know. But there is one main obstacle as regards any potential trade. Excuse me. The hierarchy at Chelsea value Nico Jackson at 80 million. And they don't want to pay more than £30 million for Garnacho. The Athletic reporting that so after Hato and Simons, is that business closed? No, I don't think it will be business closed, but I think it will very much be either a goalkeeper coming in, which again is unlikely at this stage, but I think a goalkeeper potentially coming in, and then any other incomings I think will be based on outgoing. So if Nico Jackson left, I think someone else would come in. Otherwise, yeah, I think that'll be business pretty much done, chap. I think that'll be business pretty much done. Yep, he's gone to Al Nassr. Yeah, I think at some point they will be done. I don't see United accepting £30 million. However, if Garnacho is set on staying in the Premier League, and if he is waiting for an approach from Chelsea, like we're being led to believe he is, then us waiting until later in the window means that we know United are desperate to get rid. They might accept less than what they ideally want to accept. Garnacho for 30 to 40 million pounds, as much as I don't want him to join, that would be seen as probably a punt worth taking. I'm not saying that's my view, but from a club perspective, that would be seen as a punt worth taking. Bring Garnacho in for, 30 to 40 million pounds if you can do it. And let's see what this article's saying. Man United have spoken to both Chelsea and Aston Villa about Alejandro Garnacho, as well as the possibility of players such as Nico Jackson and Ollie Watkins going the other way. Chelsea's interest in Garnacho's long-standing, yet we know that. United are themselves holding a firm line on valuations as they attempt to maximise sales. The club have especially dug their heels in on Garnacho and Anthony. Yeah, that's basically it. So not really too much going on there in regards to that. Look, let's be honest. He's worth more than £25 million. Let's be clear. This is a 21-year-old Argentina international, Premier League experience, has played minutes, quite a few minutes for United. If you look at his underlying numbers, he ranks right at the top in terms of statistics for players, for wingers in Europe's top 5 leagues, aged 21 and under. Because they're still negotiating the price. I don't know. The ability's definitely there of Garnacho, chat. The ability's absolutely there. But yeah, it's tricky. The ability is there, though. I don't think Gittins necessarily is better than Garnacho right now. I don't necessarily think Gittins right now is better than Alejandro Garnacho. No one said United are asking for £30 million. No one said that. This is being reported as what Chelsea would be prepared to pay. And again, I spoke about this yesterday with Sava on the show. There's definitely a trail of thought which is fair, is that Garnacho would be a much better player outside of the environment at Man United. Not saying that he'll suddenly become unbelievable, but there's definitely a trail of thought that this guy will be better outside of that toxic environment at United. The only way I would accept a Garnacho deal, chat, or would be open to it or whatever, is if we did something similar to what we've done with Jadon Sancho. Loan with an obligation, but there's a penalty fee to get out of it. I don't. If we can agree to get a deal done like that, if United would be stupid enough to agree to another one of those deals, then I would begrudgingly probably accept that. I would begrudgingly probably accept that. Garnacho wouldn't be a first-team regular. He would be a squad rotation option. I don't think any Chelsea fans are particularly happy with the deal and whatnot, but I suppose in those circumstances, if we could get a deal done in that situation, maybe that would suit both parties, if Chelsea could kind of cover themselves on that one. He'll play left back and fill in at centre back on occasions. Hold ups with Hato and Simmons. Something must. No, I don't think there's anything going on. But the only reason Gittins was a bench player from January is because when Niko Kovac took over as manager, he changed the system and it didn't it didn't suit Gittins, which is why he was in and out of the team over the second half of the season. That's why. Yeah, that wouldn't be disastrous. Yeah, look, Chelsea clearly don't want Garnacho at all costs. That's clear. Because if we were desperate for him and he was a priority target, this deal would have been wrapped up by now, or it would be very, very advanced. Chelsea obviously clearly like Garnacho a lot, and they're prepared to wait until right to the end of the window to see if a market opportunity presents itself. If it doesn't, I think Chelsea will be happy to just, leave the deal alone. That's the way that I'm viewing it. There's many examples. McTominay, Anthony last season on loan at Real Betis. Rashford, I think, will do very well at Barcelona. There's many examples of players leaving Man United and going on to have, a lot more success elsewhere at other clubs in different environments. Yeah, and that's potentially what Chelsea might be looking at. And there's no doubt about it, chat. United is absolutely, a toxic environment. Absolutely, it is a toxic environment, chat. We know that. We're fully aware of that. Chat, 270 in the building. Keep smashing the likes. We're on 118 likes. Let's get this to 150 likes as quickly as possible. Smash that like button and keep subscribing, by the way, if you are new round here. We are 20 subs away from 17.6. Let's try and hit that next little milestone. So smash up the likes and subscribe if you're new around here. Let's get as close as we can to 17.6k. Road to 20k, guys. I wouldn't say it was bad. It's just there's not really too many proven quantities on that left-hand side. Gittins with a Xavi Simmons as an option on the left wing is far more attractive, in my opinion. Bro, United's been a toxic environment for a long time. Yeah, I would agree with that somewhat. Gittins stats are good. No, there's not been like official club-to-club talks. But obviously we've had conversations with agents and whatnot, and there's obviously been conversations through intermediaries because Chelsea have been linked with Garnacho since January, chat. Chelsea have been linked with Garnacho since January. Yeah, I also think that's fair. If you get in Xavi Simmons and then you go for Garnacho and you get a loan with a 30 or 35 million pound obligation to buy, and there's a penalty clause to send him back, I would reluctantly accept that, and it's probably not the end of the world. Bro, he's 21. His underlying numbers are actually decent, and I know it's not all about numbers, but if you look at wingers aged 21 and under in Europe's top 5 leagues last season in all the key areas, he ranks very, very highly. Now, that doesn't take into account, obviously, potential attitude issues, off the pitch problems, particularly his brother. That doesn't take those things into account. But if you're purely looking at a numbers, I'm not saying that I want Garnacho, but this idea that he's objectively shit is just not true. You know, we've got to be able to have more nuanced conversations about players. You know, a player's either absolutely terrible or they're unbelievable. There seems to be a complete lack of ability to have to meet in the middle or have any sort of nuanced debate about a player. It's either like, oh my god, they're unbelievable. Nah, they're totally shit and they can't play football. You know, there's a lot of people have got a lack of an ability to have a nuanced conversation and actually debate debate stuff, and that is a major issue, chap. But it is what it is. Yes, big up, brother. Hope you're well. Again, there's been no. I don't know where you're getting that from, Enzo Fernandez. I don't know how you know Enzo Fernandez. I don't know how Enzo Fernandez, where that's come from, that he wants him. No, I don't think so. I absolutely don't think so. If you get Xavi Simons, then where's Morgan Rogers playing? Look, I wouldn't have any issue with us going for Ademola Lookman. However, I also certainly don't see a deal for Lookman happening whatsoever. Yeah, potentially. Yes, potentially. Fair enough. Yeah, pre-season Liverpool 1 down. Fair enough. No. I'm just trying to provide a balanced conversation. You know, I'm trying to provide a balanced conversation in general about the player. Yes, but Rodgers is too difficult to get. And that's why we've obviously changed tact to Xavi Simons, because Simons and Rodgers are basically pretty much the same profile of player, left side number 10 hybrid style players. So, yeah, that's kind of that's where we're at. That's where we're at on those ones, chap. That is where we are at on those ones in regards to Rodgers and Simons. No, nothing on goalkeepers. No, nothing on goalkeepers. Yes, run it up, run it up. What happened to Malik Fofana? Nothing's happened to him. Everton are exploring a deal for him. Fofana still seems to be holding tight that he wants to move to a Champions League club. As of yet, no Champions League clubs have officially come in, and Everton are the team most advanced in negotiations over a move for him. So, yeah, let's wait and see what happens. Exactly. And this is another reason why a move for Garnacho simply doesn't make sense, because it probably requires Jackson to leave, which is not looking likely. And then if Jackson does leave, why would you replace one of your centre forward options with a left wing option? It literally doesn't make any sense. Yeah, also a fair point. Yeah, look, that's a different conversation. I think that's a fair conversation. You know, I think that's a fair conversation. But there's also a trail of thought that players can absolutely mature and players can absolutely change. You know, just because, I mean, how many people, every single person in here, when they were 20 or 21, has made mistakes or done things wrong? Of course they have. Or they've done things that they would never do now at this current stage in their lives. Every single 20 to 21-year-old kid makes mistakes. Now, think about that when you're a professional footballer at 20 or 21 years age, with all the money, the spotlight and whatnot. Making mistakes is normal. No, I don't think so, bro. I don't think so. No, he's not sold, but he certainly will be sold. that appears to be the plan for him. That appears to be the plan for him. Bro, Chelsea's presence and reputation or whatever in Africa is unrivaled, unmatched. We are massive, and our history of Africa will always be great. Essien, Kalou, Drogba, to name a few. Mikel, Chelsea will always be massive in Africa. Fair enough. I think Trevor will stay, in my opinion, unless a big offer comes in from him. I think Trevor is definitely set to stay. In terms of Ugochukwu, I suspect that will go down to later in the window. That will definitely go down to later in the window. I don't see how that can be true or how that's the case. They've just signed Marcus Rashford on loan. Where's the room? Where's the need for Nico Jackson at Barcelona? I'm not really too sure of how that makes any sense. I mean, I'm not saying it's. I mean, there could be something in it. I don't know, but I'm struggling to personally see how a move to Barcelona makes any sense. Sorry, how Nico Jackson and Barcelona makes any sense at this point in time. I don't think it does. No, Xavi is not here we go. There's no here we goes at the moment. And then again, where we had it up earlier. Where is it? Let me just find it now. Chelsea's plan as suspected, chat. They want to wrap up a deal for Simmons first. We've done that. After wrapping up a deal for Simmons, which hopefully we will do, then next step, consider Garnacho as an opportunity in August. If United's conditions to sell match up with Chelsea's conditions, for all this to happen, Chelsea will also need Nkunku and Sterling to go, and for Garnacho, obviously not to go elsewhere. So there's still quite a few moving parts for any potential move for Garnacho to join Chelsea. There's still quite a few moving parts here, chat. The plan is try in August. If United's conditions match our conditions, of course. And then we also need to get rid of Nkunku and Sterling. Don't think that will be a problem to get rid of Nkunku and Sterling. And then we've got to obviously presume as well that Garnacho at that point hasn't gone anywhere else. And if Garnacho at that point hasn't gone anywhere else, then you would imagine that Chelsea have probably said, look, brother, wait for us. We're going to get rid of Nkunku. We're going to get rid of Sterling. And then we're going to come in for you. That is what I could see potentially happening. That's what I could potentially see happening, chat. Yes, people, smash up the like button. Run those likes up. Let's get this up to 200 likes. We're on 140. Over 230 in the building still. Smash the like button, chat. It really helps out more than you can imagine. And keep subscribing as well if you're new around. But let's smash up these likes. Someone let me know when we're at 200 likes. We should definitely be hitting that soon. Send Sterling to United so he can be the first player. No, Sterling won't go to United. I think Garnacho is waiting for us, chat. I'll be so real. I think Garnacho absolutely is waiting for us. Absolutely, he's waiting for us. No doubt about it. No doubt about it at all. I think he's definitely waiting for us. That's what I'm saying. That is what I'm saying, chat. Again, they're going to have to sell someone. Again, they're going to have to sell someone. They're going to have to sell someone, chat. Again, they're going to have to not mod someone. Sorry, they're going to have to. Villa are going to have to sell. Again, I don't see how Fulham are going to be. It's not Fulham, sorry. How Villa are going to help us out. No, bro, I wouldn't be too concerned about it. You know, we will. You know, we'll get the deals done, and it will be agreed. It's just the final things are always a little bit difficult, you know, and always take a little bit more time than you would expect. That's all. The Sassy will be sold. No, I just don't agree with that. I just don't agree with that. Yeah, of course they will. Absolutely, they will. Yeah, Enzo took all of January. Caicedo took a long time as well. These deals take time, chat. These deals take time. You know, they really do. They really do take time, guys. Who knows? I mean, Jacob Ramsey, again, someone that Villa are potentially looking to get rid of. No, Villa not having a good window either. They're absolutely not. How has Badiashile... I actually think Badiashile is tricky because the potential's there. The injury that he had at the end of that 22-23 season has kind of really set him back, and he's just never really got back to that form he showed in the first 6 months that he was at Chelsea. But, you know, if he's happy to stay as a 4th or 5th choice centre-back, I don't have a huge issue with it. I really don't have a huge issue with it if he's happy to stay as a 4th or 5th choice centre-back, chat. Really, no issues with that whatsoever. No issues at all. So yeah, that's Chelsea's plan. That is Chelsea's plan. Wait until August for Garnacho, and then see if their conditions match United's conditions, and then obviously Nkunku and Sterling need to both leave. So yeah, there's still a few moving parts in the Garnacho thing, but Chelsea have clearly got a plan. Chelsea have clearly got a plan in regards to that, chap. They've clearly got a plan. McAtee, Forest had a bid for £25 million rejected yesterday. I don't really see any need for James McAtee at Chelsea. I mean, where on earth would he fit in terms of the squad? Doesn't really make an awful lot of sense. No, because I don't believe it for 1 second. No one credible has linked Scalvini and Chelsea at all. I don't see that being the case. If it turns out to be, you know, true later down the line, then fair enough. But right now, I'm not sensing that there's any semblance of truth in Chelsea and Scalvini. So yeah, let's wait and see what happens with this Garnacho stuff. But right now, chat, as we know, the main focus is on getting Hato and Xavi Simons done. And let's hope in the next 24 to 48 hours that we are going to have some sort of here we goes either today or tomorrow, or certainly by the end of the week, so that we can just put those to bed. We can just put that nonsense to bed. Very, very simple. Let's just put it to bed. We're advancing. We're very close, chat. Garnacho, again, that's going to be something for right at the end of the window. Right at the end of the window. Newcastle finished. They're losing 1-0. I wouldn't say Newcastle are finished because they're losing a pre-season game. If you remember rightly, chat, we got smashed up in pre-season. Pretty bad. Pretty bad. I think we lost, 5 of our 7 games in pre-season. I remember us drawing 2-2 to Wrexham last year, smashed by Celtic, smashed by City, smashed by Real Madrid. You know, I wouldn't be judging pre-season on results. You know, I certainly wouldn't be doing that, guys. Certainly wouldn't be doing that. The pre-seasons on results or whatever. So yeah, there we go. There we go. In terms of outgoings, we have reached another outgoing. Where is it? Chelsea have sold Samuel Smith to Strasbourg for 6.4 million plus 432,000 in bonuses. They signed him in 2023 for around 3.8 million. So we've made a profit on Samuel Smith, and he hasn't even played a game for us. He didn't even play a single first-team game. We know, as I mentioned earlier, Ajax did inquire about the possibility of signing Samuel Smith, but he's always maintained he wanted to go to Strasbourg. And with Samuel Smith going to Strasbourg, it's going to work out well for us because it means that if he does well, he develops into the player we think he might develop into, then it will be very, very straightforward for us to get him back. So this works really well for all parties. Samuel Smith goes to an exciting young team in Strasbourg, going to play regular first-team football, Conference League football as well, which will be beneficial for his development. And you look at how well Diego Moreira has done at Strasbourg and how much he's developed at Strasbourg. You know, everyone thought he was a shit and a bit of a joke at Chelsea. He's gone to Strasbourg and he's reinvented himself and he's become, you know, a really good little player. Really good little player. And so I think the same could definitely happen with Samuel Smith. Decent price. Go and play a football. If you do well, then, yeah, all good. All good and no issues whatsoever on that front. That's it. It's very simple, chat. Very, very simple there. So I'm happy with that. I'll have a look. I'll have a look. Yeah, exactly. He's been good. He has been good. And Samuel Smith again. You know, those two will play in that position on the left hand side. And this is a smart deal. This is absolutely a smart deal. I've got no doubts about that whatsoever. Real smart deal, chat. Real smart deal. So yeah, I'm happy with that one. Really happy. Smart, to be honest. Selling for a minimal fee, buy back for perhaps double, and then if he kills it, easy to pay lower. Yeah, exactly. And we still maintain some sort of control over the player. I mean, you can't really go too wrong, guys. You can't really go too wrong on that one. There's nothing. Let's be honest here. There's nothing not to like about this deal. This is, you know, as good as a perfect deal as you can get. As good to a perfect deal as you can get. Yeah, Arsenal aren't going to buy fucking what's his face? Arsenal aren't going to buy Garnacho. I don't know why people are saying that Arsenal are going to buy Garnacho. I mean, what sense does that make at all? It literally makes no sense. Literally makes no sense. So I don't know why people are going on about that. Yep, and we need to add more. We need to add more clubs to the model. We have to add more clubs to the model. You know, we have to. We have to add more clubs to the model. Chelsea should take a leaf out of Liverpool's book and stockpile the transfer kitty. I don't need to stockpile the transfer kitty. I'm happy that we finally have a blueprint and a system. Players are finally getting the hang of it. It certainly appears that way. If ISS develops as we think he should, I can see Cuckoo being sold in a few years and Ish coming back. Maybe. I read recently that we're still trying to get a stake in Sporting. I don't know if we're trying to get a stake in Sporting or not. Yeah, I mean, a club in Brazil would make sense, or a club in Portugal. These things all absolutely make sense. So that's on Ish Samuel-Smith. Moving from former left backs to current left back. Obviously, we had the news yesterday when we were on the show with Sava about Chelsea potentially looking to offer Cucurella a new deal. There's been a further update from Fabrizio on his YouTube channel that Chelsea are already working on that new deal for Cucurella, and they're expected to submit a new contract proposal very soon. So, yeah, new contract proposal expected to be submitted for Cucurella very soon. Thoroughly deserved. And again, you can see there's just clear succession planning here. Clear succession planning, chat. You know, what is there not to like about what we're doing right now? Hato's on his way in. Cucurella, new deal. Cucurella probably stays for another 3 or so years. Hato develops. Then when Cucurella leaves, Hato steps in. And if Ish Samuel-Smith does well and develops how we think he could develop, then you can bring him back, and Hato and Ish Samuel-Smith can then be the left-back options. You know, you can start to see... I mean, this is a lot of ifs and buts here, by the way, but you can start to see what the idea is. You can definitely start to see what the idea is at this point in time. There's no doubt about it, in my opinion. You can definitely start to see what we're doing. Cucurella, you know, Palmer and Jackson signed contract extensions, and it's about time that Cucurella got offered a new contract as well. You know, that's he's definitely next in line because he arrived in 2022. Current deal, I imagine he signed 6-year deal. I imagine his current deal arrives is going to be in 2020. Will run out in 2028. So yeah, makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense, chat. I don't know if it will be a pay rise or not. It will be the same terms. I imagine it would be a pay rise because he deserves a pay rise for what he's done and his form for us. Absolutely deserves a pay rise. Yeah, bro, this is why I've never had a major issue with the wage structure, because it's not that you're not going to get that money. It's just you have to deserve that you have to show that you deserve that money. You have to earn that money through performances. I don't see that as a bad thing. Yes, you know, it can cost you top players if they're, you know, if where the wages are more important. But yeah, what is wrong with being paid a set amount and then having to earn the rest through bonuses and through the team doing well and through you doing well? I don't see an issue with that. No, not true. Not true. Well, all players will get an incremental pay rise because we qualify for the Champions League. So I think the wages have gone up by 30% or whatever it was, or 10%. I can't remember the exact percentage, but everyone's wages have increased by a percentage because we qualified for the Champions League. And that's part of the stipulations in the contracts. I've got no idea what it might go up to. I don't actually know. How much he's on right now. Bro, this comment makes no sense. You know, why should you, if you're one of the best players in your position, why does it matter if you're one of the best left backs or whether you're one of the best strikers. Yes, I know strikers tend to get paid more, but ultimately, if you're one of the best in your position, then why shouldn't you be paid handsomely? Yeah, he was close to going on loan. He was close to going on loan to United under Poch. Then we played him in a Carabao Cup game. And yeah, we got to pay Cucurella the money that he's worth. And he's worth the money that we will give him. You know, look how important he is to this football team. He's absolutely worth the money. No doubt about it. Chat, 225 in the building still. Keep smashing that like button. We're on 162 likes. Let's get this up to 200 likes. Let's get it moving, chat. Let's get it moving. Bro, do you think before you speak sometimes? Easy to replace a left back. Okay, who are we replacing Marc Cucurella with? If it's so easy to go out there and replace a left back, who are we replacing Cucurella with? Please tell me. Please tell me. Because respectfully, that is an absolute nonsense take with the greatest of respect. What is that take? I agree. I think I agree. I think, you know, there are not many better left backs out there right now than Marc Cucurella. No doubt about it, chat. No doubt about it whatsoever. So yeah, I would agree. I think he's he's in the top two. I do think Nuno Mendes is better. I do think Nuno Mendes is better. But yeah, him and Nuno Mendes are without doubt the two best left backs on the planet at this point in time. Nah, bro, I think Mendes is better. I'll be honest. I know Mendes had a poor game in the Club World Cup final, but I do think Mendes is better. Those Cucurella and Nuno Mendes are definitely the two best left backs in the world right now, for sure. Yeah, good one, brother. Good one. Yeah, we'll just ignore that. It's definitely between those two. It's definitely between those two. No doubt about it. So yeah, those two are definitely the top two defensive left backs. 100% chat. 100%. So yeah, the new deal will be offered to Cucurella soon. Probably be a 2-year extension, keep until 2030. That puts another 5 years on his contract. I think that's fair. And then we'll go from there. Yeah, Cucurella is definitely the best in the league. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Cucurella, best in the league in terms of left backs. 100%, guys. 100%. What else are we looking at here? Let's see if there's any other news that is coming through, guys. Anything else coming through in regards to Hato and Simmons? So yeah, anyway, what else are we looking at here? Let's see if there's any other news. Obviously, we know there's no suitors for Ben Chilwell currently. That shouldn't be a surprise. That shouldn't be a surprise. Yeah, it looks like Sanchez is going to remain our goalkeeper, unfortunately, and I don't think there's an awful lot that we can really do about that. Maybe someone in the MLS will come in for Chilwell. I don't know. Chilwell's got 2 years left on his contract. I think what's likely to happen here is we come to some sort of agreement where we come to a settlement where we pay Chilwell one of the remaining years and he waives the final year of his contract. Something along those lines. That might be the best way for us to get rid of Chilwell. Nah, bro, these players will go. I am really confident that the players will go. 100%. 100%. The players will definitely they'll definitely move on in August for sure. When was that? I certainly don't remember that. And Chilwell's not shit. He's obviously not at the level right now, but Chilwell for Chelsea was very, very good and was outstanding for us under Thomas Tuchel in the left wing back role, and obviously a massive part of us winning the Champions League and whatnot. Chilwell has served Chelsea well and has done very well for the club. He's surplus to requirements now, and it's more than time to move on from him. But he has been a good servant to Chelsea. And so there we go. How did he cost us the FA Cup? Bro, it's just bollocks. It's just not true. But whatever. If that's your opinion, that's fine. But respectfully, that's utter garbage that you're saying there. Just not true at all. Just not true at all, chap. What else are we looking at here? Right, I'm going to check if there's any more things coming through, and then we will round out. I mean, I expect this is looking like a third day this week where the here we goes haven't come. But we're getting closer, guys. We are getting closer to the here we goes. We're not a million miles away now. Maybe later today. I think certainly tomorrow we should be good. We shouldn't pay for Hato more than 40 million. Yeah, I agree. I do agree on that front. But we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see what we're planning to do, chat. What we are planning to do on that front. Nah, don't. You know, it's happened before. It has happened before. Been live. Within 10 minutes of wrapping the live up, a here we go drops. You know, these things do happen. Again, not beyond the realms of possibility. Not beyond the realms of possibility that could be a thing. Not beyond the realms of possibility at all, guys. You know, very, very possible that that could happen. Very possible. But yeah. Yeah, you'd like to think so. If the deals aren't sorted by the end of the week, that's maybe a little bit of a worry. Do you think we'll go for a right centre back in this window? No, I don't think so. I don't think so personally, no. Nkunku's definitely leaving, yes, for sure. He will leave and that'll get done. He'll leave and it'll get done. We've obviously just got to wait. So yeah. But yeah, Nkunku will go, as will Raheem Sterling. Yeah, we are. We are. No, I don't. But if anyone can, we can. If anyone can, we can, chat. When does he's probably already back, I'd imagine. I imagine the loan with Santos is done, is it not? I don't really know, to be honest. I don't really know. So, yeah, we're going to have to wait on that one as well. We're going to have to wait on that one as well, chat. Yeah, 65 million euros. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, when Chilwell and Sterling go, we're going to be saving over $500,000 a week in wages. That's absolutely huge. That's absolutely huge. I mean, look, Carney wants Dortmund, but he might not have a choice if Dortmund can't afford him. So, yeah. We'll wait and see, guys. We'll wait and see. But yeah, any other questions in the chat? Let me know. Otherwise, we will round this one out. Chelsea made 460 million sales the last 2 years. Yeah, look, we're very good at selling. And that's one thing that people don't take into account when they see us spending money. They choose to conveniently ignore the fact that we sell players. But there we are. It is what it is. We don't need him. We don't need him. Do you think Garnacho, Hato, and Simmons will be our signings? I think Hato and Simmons, Garnacho potentially. But yeah, I don't see any more than that. At absolute max, it'll be those three. But I think it's more likely just Hato and Simmons, and then the rest will depend on if someone leaves or not. That's the way that That's the way that I'm looking at it. That is the way that I'm looking at it. So yeah. Right, chat. We're going to round this one out. Big up to everybody who's locked in this afternoon. Appreciate each and every single one of you. On the way out, please smash up the likes. We're on 176 likes. Let's get this to 200 likes on the way out. Smash that like button. It really helps me. Keep subscribing to the channel if you're new round here. I'll be back later on today if we get any here we goes. If not, chat, we'll be back again tomorrow, same time. Hopefully we get a here we go tomorrow, potentially. So yeah, smash up the likes on your way out. Subscribe if you're new. Big love for all the support on today's show. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday afternoon or morning or wherever you are in the world. And yeah, catch up with you lot again tomorrow. Up the Chelsea, and we're out. Peace.